Hi everyone, welcome to our very last episode of Life in Lockdown. And just as I promised, here is the second Melissa for our last episode. For those of you who don't know her, this is Melissa Ferguson. She is the author of The Dating Charade and the upcoming The Cul-de-sac War, which releases later this year, and a novella, which she's going to tell us about a little bit later on. So, welcome, Melissa. Thanks for being my lucky last guest in this series.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You're so welcome. So, the whole reason why I started this series was because I was stuck at home in New Zealand under COVID-19 lockdown. And usually, like we've kind of chatted about off camera, the time zone thing between New Zealand and America is really tough. Well, usually someone's getting up in the middle of the night to be able to do anything. And I suddenly realized that all of my author friends were at home. So it was a good time to do a series with them. So I've gone to chat to lots and lots of authors about kind of what their life is like, where they are in COVID-19 world. And obviously at the moment, there's a whole lot of other things going on in the US as well. So do you want to tell people kind of where you are, what things have been like in terms of COVID-19 where you live, whether kind of restrictions are easing at the moment, and just kind of what life has been like in general the last few months?
Sure. Life has been different and then not different. I live in Bristol, Tennessee, but I live in Bristol, Tennessee, which also shares the state or shares the city with Virginia. So half of us are in Virginia, half in Tennessee. And that has been interesting because Virginia has stricter procedures. They're just more strict than Tennessee has been. So whereas, for example, like people got turned away just a couple of days ago if they went inside Target 4 minutes that way, they could go inside without a mask on. Yeah. Whereas if you go to the Tennessee side, people are like, dancing around Lowe's or something. Not really. They're being responsible, but it's just different, the precautions. So,
wow.
For us though, we our area is pretty small. There are only about like 40,000 people, I think, in our town, and so I live in a cul-de-sac. I'm not really in a tight, loft style living area. So as far as my life has been, I have 3 kids at home and I write books, and that's what happened before this. And I still have 3 kids at home and I write books. So not a whole lot has changed there. I do feel like, if anything, it's been a healthy time for me to reprioritize the things that I have going on. So before, I used to kind of be anxious to run and get out and go do. I mean, we kind of got in the car every day because I would just get kind of like, I got to get out of the house. I'm stir crazy. And we go to the library, we go out to the stores, we go out to the park, and we, just find ways to go out and go see people. And I feel like after this, it's kind of been healthy for me to learn how to be more content with just, what I have around me, and kind of take away the things that are of lesser value to really focus on like my priorities. I mean, being forced to focus on them. So, I feel like I've genuinely learned to be a bit more content, and I spend a lot less time in the car, like a lot, and my kids do a lot. And so they're happier because they're not so restless stuck in a car while we're going somewhere, and I'm kind of happier. So I'm no longer addicted to Starbucks, which is a big thing. I used to be addicted to like legit addicted, because that would sometimes be the only place I would ever go. And so I'd go there once and drive through. And, now I'm saving money and staying at home. And we went to Chick-fil-A for the first time in ages today. This is from this morning. It's still 3/4 of the way full because I never drink my coffee. I'm really slow. But yeah, so that's been COVID life.
Very cool. It's interesting, because we have in New Zealand, our restrictions have been easing for the last few weeks. So we were in like a full lockdown for 5 weeks, and then we were kind of lifted a little bit for a couple of weeks, and now it's kind of getting a lot freer. But we have, we've been quite similar in that we have been in no rush to kind of return to kind of the packed schedule that we had before. And in fact, like our toddler, who's like the world's biggest extrovert, we've kind of struggled to get him out of the house. Like, he's kind of gotten really content with just hanging out at home. And even, things like going to the supermarket, whereas previously he'd be all over any opportunity to leave the house. Now he's like, no, I just want to stay here. I just want to stay at home and play. So it's, I think it's been a really good opportunity for a whole lot of people to kind of look at what their life, had become, and be like, actually, is this like having had the opportunity to kind of really stop, like be forced to stop.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, actually, we don't really want to go back to how this was.
Yeah. I mean, I was a part of a MOPS group. These aren't even like bad things that I was a part of. Like going to the library a lot, which we'll probably still go to the library a lot, but I feel like it did teach me, like, I was almost striving to keep up a lot of these friend relationships, and I just frankly didn't have time. I realized, like, it's been nice. You kind of have your core people in your life, your family, and maybe a couple friends, but then realizing, like, I might love those people, but I may just not have a whole lot of time with 3 really young children to devote to some of these things. So that's been healthy.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about writing. So your second book with Thomas Nelson, The Cul-de-sac War, comes out, is it November?
Yep, November 10th.
And was this the first book that you wrote under contract?
Yes, it was.
And how was that?
It was awful. Horrendous. I definitely suffered. But apparently that's quite normal. At least that's what my editor and actually everyone at Thomas Nelson kept telling me was, this is normal. It's okay. Because I wrote the first book under contract, like you were saying. I had like 6 months to write it or something, but you're writing it while having to make edits and prepare for launch for the other book. So all of a sudden you think you have a lot of time, but you'll get emails and they'll be like, can you send a list of discussion questions for the back of the other book? Can you update your bio? Can you do this marketing thing? And all of a sudden, like, your time just gets really short, and you don't really have a whole lot of time to write. So I turned it in, and my editor was like, oh, let me give it back to you and maybe try again. So I kind of had to really push down and write a whole lot of it over. And but I'm reading the final proof now, and I am so grateful for how it turned out. Like, I actually was like, who wrote this today? This is actually good. Yeah, so that was encouraging.
And you have recently been working on a novella.
Yeah, I turned that in at midnight last night. Woo! Yeah, so Pining for You is going to be a novella as part of a collection. Another novella in the collection will be by Denise Hunter and another by Kathy Fuller. Mm-hmm. Although I don't know if she goes by Kathleen Fuller or Kathy Fuller. Anyways, so it'll be the 3 of us in a collection, and that's coming out next spring.
Very fun.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling about kind of leading into a book launch kind of with a global pandemic situation and obviously some other really hard stuff going on in the States at the moment?
Honestly, I don't think I've been thinking about my book launch because it's in November, so I've got a little bit of time. I'm starting to see some things, like Buzz Books came out, and I'm starting to see like ARCs are, I think, now going out, for endorsements. But I think everything is changing so rapidly that we just don't know what life is going to look like a month from now, much less in November. So I don't know. I think hopefully it'll be all right. We're going to hope.
How does it feel knowing advance copies of the cul-de-sac war about to head out the door?
Well, I just got the proofs. I got to read the final, like almost the final draft for the final look through. And, I'm reading through it, and I honestly, I typically I'm very nervous. Like for my novella, I'm like, this is horrendous. I'm turning it in anyways. But I think the cul-de-sac war, I really like it. So I'm hopeful that it's going to go well. I feel better. When I sent the dating charade out for endorsements, I was very, very nervous and fairly certain that everyone was going to be like, she's a fraud and this is the worst ever. So thankfully going through that and be like, oh, okay, like people genuinely typically are nice and, and it kind of worked out. So I hope it's helped me realize like not to stress too much about the cul-de-sac war.
Yeah. People who are doing endorsements are generally looking for, good things to say.
Yeah. So, and I really do like the cul-de-sac war. I feel like it's, I love the dating charade because it was my heart, which was it had a little bit of there was laughter in it, but it also had a heart message of, like the foster system. And, whereas this one, the cul-de-sac war, is very rom-com. And so that is, it's also got a heart message in there that I love, but it's a bit lighter than the other one, and really sticks to that genre. And I appreciate that because I think that'll be easier because people are going to see that cover and it's going to fit with what the reader's expectations are.
And I think the world needs some good romantic comedies right now.
Yeah, I do love me a good rom-com. So,
oh, excuse me. So, final two questions that I always ask my guests. What is keeping you sane right now? And what, if anything, do you miss the most right now?
Keeping me sane. Well, we've been watching a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're kind of obsessed, my husband and myself, and that has been super fun to put the kids to bed and get to watch a show. I wouldn't say that's keeping me sane, but it's like very exciting, and we're kind of giddy at nighttime, and we eat way too much chocolate. So that's been really fun. And what was the second question? Oh,
what do you miss the most, if anything?
What do I miss the most, if anything? I will say going, it would have been fun to like try and go on a trip to New York or, get out. And so I do miss kind of like traveling, or even the thought of dreaming up traveling.
Yeah.
Even if you don't do it, I can't even dream about it because it's been a challenge. So.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I do a lot of, or used to do a lot of travel, both for my day job, and then every year I'd come over to the States as well for book stuff. And I was thinking, like, this is the first time that I haven't flown in a month since like probably about 15 years. Like, it's like, and like I haven't been on a plane since February, and now we're June.
A professional traveler. That's amazing. You're on a plane a month.
Yeah. And it's been like, it's been this really weird feeling to look at my flight, my good old flight app, and there's nothing.
Yeah, that's amazing though that you can fly that much. That would be so fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I love traveling. I love going new places. I mean, I don't love red-eye flights ever, but I did quite a lot of traveling before I got married, and professionally I've just kind of had quite a few jobs that have required travel, so it's just something that I've just always done and been really fortunate that I've enjoyed that component of it. So being grounded has been weird.
Yes. Yeah, and everything going online, writers' conferences and things. Yeah. I totally hear you there.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess for me in New Zealand, there's an upside to that as well, and that things kind of also become a lot more accessible without needing to spend $5,000 to, fly to the other side of the world. So, pros and cons. Probably I won't get to see my American friends for a while. But thank goodness for technology.
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre how accessible friends are, even though we're all kind of apart. So
anyway, so everyone, lucky last, book to give away, the Dating Charade. So if you would like to win a copy of the Dating Charade for yourself or a friend, you need to answer this question, which is, Melissa.
If you wrote a book, what would be on the cover of it?
Ooh, oh, that's a great question. So what kind of cover would you love to see on a book with your name on it? Cool, awesome. All right, everyone. So there you go. If you want to win a copy of the Dating Charade, drop a comment and I will draw a winner at the end of the weekend. Thanks so much for joining me, Melissa. It's been so fun chatting.
Fun chatting with you too.
All right, see ya.
Bye.